Hello, everybody. We've been through making promos, video creating, and everything about how to promote yourself in a video aspect. And then we've been into an advanced video editing where we talked about strategies for cinematic movie making. And today's class is about preparing your portfolio, whether it's a text, video, audio, anything. And last training will be about designs and visual branding, where we can craft our images and maybe designs, and we can get the benefit of knowing in depth about portfolio so we can make our own gallery from designs to introduce ourselves. So first of all, we have to understand the meaning. Portfolio can mean a lot of things. It means differently in the digital aspect of the multimedia aspect, let's say, and also it has a different meaning in the finances and other aspects. So for today, we're going to be talking about the digital portfolio. It's a collection of work gathered in one digital platform to showcase the portfolio owner's style or specialty in his niche. So if anybody needs to know more about you, the first place they look at is your portfolio. Nowadays, as we all know, like when you go to apply for a job, mostly they focus on your portfolio. They want to see your work before they see your studies in a lot of cases, not all of them, but in many cases nowadays. Why is it important? It creates business opportunities because whenever you have your portfolio work out there, people start to see it and react to it. And maybe they're looking for something that you're already doing. The second important thing is that you show all in one showcase where you put all your work in one place. This is a really important thing because mostly when we work, we have our work scattered between different clients, different places, different institutions. A client or a person can see all your sorts of work you did before until today. Social outreach, as I mentioned, the portfolio nature is that it's social. Any kind of portfolio website, they have their own social base where people can come and watch as a gallery, let's say, whether it's text, video, audio, doesn't matter. And it's a backup resource. So having them all in one place is also a security measure, let's say, for your work not to be lost. The content types, what kind of content you can create for your portfolio. So we have photo or image, video, audio, and text. The portfolio types here mainly are four, as we mentioned. Image, I couldn't say photo because photo might include only photos from photography, but images can include graphic designs. For the social media, as we know mostly that there's Instagram and Facebook, the most popular. Pinterest is also one amazing place to share or create a portfolio. And there's websites like Wix, 500 Pixels, Adobe, Behance, and Unsplash. I'm going to be going through each one of them to show the differentiations, and we're going to be also creating a quick portfolio example. So starting with Instagram, this is for our friend Ziad. As you can see, once you collect your artwork in one place, it showcases your style, it showcases your editing capabilities, it showcases the kind of aspect of photography you're going through that attracts many people who are interested in this kind of niche or this kind of photography. You can see that Ziad even created them in the same color niche. This is also one way to put your work together, that you have visually appealing kind of portfolio. You don't want to be scattering all things together. You don't want to put orange into the middle of the white stuff and going into the middle of the brown stuff. Going in one art style or one color style is also a nice way to make your portfolio organized. One of them also is Pinterest. It has a lot of attraction. This is a website where you can share your photos, but here's the advantage about Pinterest. So I've grabbed this profile. This profile has 1 million followers. And this woman, Julia, she shares food from the restaurant that she owns, and she make her portfolio of work in this way. But the thing is, every single photo of those, if you go into it, for example, it also promotes her business. This is a usable portfolio mostly. For example, if you can see, you can add your own website for each single photo, where you can attract your viewers and make those audiences engage with your content. So if you go for her website, they have the recipes of the food they're talking about, some advertisements because that brings income. Also, this is an additional way that she gains income using her portfolio only. And the third way is when they promote their own products. So mostly at the end, you can contact them or buy some certain products if they have. Facebook is pretty similar to Instagram. It's owned by the same person. And this is also one of the photography portfolios that I like. Here it's more neat, like you can see more in-depth photos at the same time. So there are so many websites. I've took some of them to explain what you can do with some photos that you have. So for instance, we have Wix. It's a website builder, but at the same time, it's pretty easy to use to create your own portfolio. You can see that they have already some templates. You can see for what suits artists, accessories, photographers, car garage, food photographers, so many graphic designers. It's already built. So you have to just go in and replace your content with it. Maybe do some slight adjustments that would make it stand out more. Coming here, you can see it's pretty much different, that there is already everything that can be changed or edited. Here you can see the pages. Each one of those you can access to from here. You can do a page or a sub page. It depends what you want. The theme manager that changes the color scheme. Here's the main background. So if I want to change this, you can say change, and here's the media pool. You can upload everything you want here, so you can quickly swap it with what they have. And the blogging section. So same page, photography. Maybe the logo section, you can create one. You can be minimalist and you can put the starting letters of your name or your title that you want to add. For example, here I have a logo. I can make it smaller here to suit the size of the page. Okay, let's see. You can preview, so you get away from the grids and the lines. And then if you want to access, for example, to see further what they have, we can go to the portfolio section. You can see that they sort your portfolio into categories. About, this is where people reach out to you. You write more about yourself, your biography or short biography, maybe who you've been working with, or you can replace this with a reach out so people can write you an email. You can go to the section here. Let's do a quick replacement. We don't want to create the whole thing from scratch, just to show a reference. So here we can say manage albums. Just by saying new album, we can make a classic one. Next. This is the styles that you can use. Depends on your photo aspects. Let's say Idlib, for example. Next. So you can upload them directly from your computer, or you can just get them here from the social media places. And that's easy. It just uploads and you hit create album, and you have your album already replaced inside with the original ones, and you can start adding up more to fill your portfolio. So we don't want to go through the uploading process and everything because it might take time, but this is how you do it basically. 500 Pixels is one of the really famous websites for photographers. Here's an example. You can see that they have created their own portfolio in this way. They have their own style, their own color scheme that they like. Of course, you can like, share it, and reach out to the photographer to take permissions for sharing or licensing or whatsoever. You might as well just upload it in a service like this and have it outside, and it might work for you. Also, we have Adobe. Now, Adobe is a famous company for its programs. We all heard about Photoshop, and Adobe even saw the importance of having a portfolio. So they created this portfolio.adobe.com where people can go in and create their own portfolios. If you're subscribed to Adobe and you use any of their programs, you just get this service with it right away. So me personally, I do a lot of video work, and I saw a need to be existing on this platform. So I went ahead and I created my own website. It's just like Wix. They have it set up for you. You just go in and you organize it and put in your own stuff. And you can write under each project you've done. What is it representing, or what is it about? This is my own portfolio. If we go to it, you can see that it's pretty simple, short biography, as we've seen before. I made the categories in the first main page: promo niche of video editing, real estate niche, music clips, interviews, institutional, etc. You can go into this category and you can see further about my portfolio in, for example, this one. The same applies for photos, the same applies for everything. Press contact, they can contact you. Here's a simple contact list where people can just write their message and send it instantly. You can make your own about me, short bio, everything. It's similar to 500 pixels, but nobody who wants any video related topics comes to Pixel because this is known to be a photography website. Further, we have Behance. It's also related to Adobe in a way, but it has in its own style. Here you can share whether it's photo, graphic design, video, animation, literally anything. As I was going through those, I came through an example here. So Mr. Cup is one of the portfolios out there, one of the artists. He do graphic design, for instance, but he also sculpt on wood and carton. So he take his designs and he do book covers. For instance, as you press on it, you can go and see all his work. So he create those boards, really neat, really professional. As you go further, you can see that he also get the usage of showcasing his work by linking it to his own Kickstarter campaign if you want to do a funding for his project. So using his existing work as a gallery, he extends through a campaign to support this work further, and also in a shop where you can also click and just go see that he has website built for shop of the existing work he does, what he can sell here. So Unsplash is also another tool that you can share photos on. This website is famous for being linked to websites in general. So whatever website tool you're using to generate a website, this one already get linked to that tool, and your photos can be used inside other websites to showcase your work or something people are related to. Any photo you click, you can see, for example, this random photo, 250,000 views, almost 1,000 downloads in Spain. And whoever took this photo here, you can see them and access their profile to see more about their portfolio. So in the video world, of course, there's a lot of differences compared to photos. So it's the same as photos, but we can see people using videos and descriptions for those videos and linking them. But when it comes to websites, we have YouTube, Vimeo, Motion Array, Behance, and Pexels. Whenever you say YouTube, all what comes to our minds probably the normal YouTube videos that we see. But in my career, I've realized that so many people use YouTube as a portfolio place also. They showcase their work under one account, under one name, without using it for any other thing. And one of those examples is this page, for example. So if I'm looking for anything related to CGI or like animation, 3D videos. Once you start searching, you can find out that this person, for example, with almost 1,000 subscribers, which is not a huge number of what we see, 5, 6 videos that he created, they get a lot of attraction, and they are his existing projects. It's the projects that he created as CGI, and each one of them has really good attraction, like 3, 4,000, 17, 50,000, etc. So what's good about this, that might be possibly a client that he would like his work and ask for similar things because he has been already searching for it. And once he sees such a video, if he like this kind of art on YouTube, where you can find maybe 2 billion people online, they just go directly and contact him. They can go to the about section, use the email address. Another common one is Vimeo. Now, this is more known to be a work-based portfolio video website. Once you go and you open the main page and you start looking for the videos, you can realize that most of them is short films. People who do animation, people who do normal feature films, short films, documentaries, music clips, anything that could be possibly dragging clients or interaction with the work or the artist who is behind this work. It's not just to show random videos. It is heavily used to communicate with those people. Moving forward from Vimeo, we have Motion Array, a really nice aspect of portfolios where you can put your library or portfolio in a place, but at the same time, like a shopping mall where people can view your work and at the same time shop from it or buy it. And the beautiful thing about it is it's unlimited. It's a digital asset. So it goes infinitely and without any need for you to do anything afterwards, except just preparing it and setting it up. So Motion Array came up with this idea along with some services. They brought all the artists who have audio, video, photo, templates, all this kind of things, and they allowed them to put art here. Each artist, you can just access to his profile and see his work. And at the same time, you just can download, but you have to buy it, of course. So you can shop and view people work at the same time, which is really helpful for artists out there because it's not easy to be artist normally. So this is one of the ways where people use portfolios to be in their advantage. Away from Behance, we have Pexels. It's kind of similar to Unsplash and 500 Pixels. This is a place where you can choose between photos and videos. Whenever you pick one of those photos, you directly have the rest similar ones from the artist who created it, and you can donate and follow the artist who have done it. At the same time, it's free, but what it creates is a huge attraction to who owns this kind of art. Now, in audio, as we said, it can be used for podcasts and it can be used for musicians. It's two different fields, absolutely pretty different, but there's a huge similarity in the apps that might be used. For example, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. We might have heard about all of them. Spotify is one place that I didn't know before that it uses podcasts, but once you go to it, you can see that there's a whole genre out there on Spotify to listen to those podcasts. And at the same time, you can use the same app for music, where if you're an artist, but you don't have a personal, let's say, website, you don't have a huge presence, you just can put albums and you can upload it here, just like how you upload a photo, just like how you upload a video. And people start browsing it from there. Putting your art on the right platform will drag you the type of people that's similar to your work niche or art niche. So that's Spotify. Probably we've all heard of it. Second one is SoundCloud. SoundCloud is also an amazing platform that takes both worlds between music and podcasts. And what's beautiful about it, that it's kind of the easiest. It can also generate some profit for people who share their art on there. At the same time, it contains a huge variety of work. Let's say I do sound effects, like not even music or podcasts, like just sound effects. Any sort of audio, I can take it and put it here and create my own portfolio in one place. And this portfolio might engage heavily with the users of this platform. Existing in this huge platform among these people might drag you a lot of visitors that you haven't thought that they would by just putting your work here. You can see there's so many podcasts here. At the same time, you can go to a variety of music options that's local or international. It doesn't matter. Mostly it's local. You can't find a lot of official music here. It's more for like smaller base artists, the one that are starting recently. While here, it's more for people who are a little bit more established into music or podcasts or whatsoever. So you can see that even if they do serve the same purpose, putting your portfolio in the right place really matters for what you're looking for after putting it out there. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts are kind of like the same thing. They serve the same purpose, but they are more specialized in podcasts. You can access them as an application on your phone, not necessarily as a website. And you can just browse regarding whatever topic you're interested in. In the text department, we have regarding the websites, for example, Medium. It's a place where you can share your blogs, share your ideas, your maybe researches into text episodes. So whatever the topic is, for example, by using text and maybe some illustrations, you can see it's one of the most easy and amazing ways to share a blog or an article because it's built to create text. It's built for blogs and articles. Another one is TechCrunch. For example, let's say you're a tech lover. So just like TechCrunch, there is so many blogs out there for each niche. It became so popular in the last 10 years that each niche now has its own popular blog website. Blogger, WordPress, and Format. Those are three tools. For instance, if we go to Format, this is Alice Driver. She's a journalist, for example. She built her own blog and at the same time, the place where she also shares articles, workshops, journalism, her books, and she can join them all in one place using, if you can see here, it says using Format. Blogger is pretty easy as well. You just create a simple account like an email on it and just go to, for example, a new post. You can put your title, start creating your text, and you can see it's all text related. There's probably just insert photo, video in case you want to do it more visually appealing. The useful and pretty nice thing about it is that you can see they have their stats. You can see what kind of traffic you're attracting, what countries they're coming from, what age groups they are. You can do your own research about your viewers or people who read your topics, even with these tools that they provide. And WordPress, on the other hand, is the most complex tool that you can do whatever you want with it, whether it's a text, photo, video. You can use this website to create something simple. Also, you can use, of course, templates that's already provided. You can see there's thousands of templates because it's an open source website that everybody can contribute to develop it and they can share their own work here. And you can take a copy most of the time of their work and create your content in that version of template or style. So it's also free.
So if you go to wordpress.org instead of .com,
yeah,
that's a free version of WordPress that everybody can use to, and it's supported by the community. So it's from the people, by the people to everyone else.
Now, this is just like WordPress and Blogger, like kind of a mix between them, where it's more easier to build your, let's say, web page, news, gallery. We can conclude our lesson today. Welcome to the final class of our trainings. This is going to be the last one, and it's going to be at the same time the one that compels with all the other stuff we took. Today, we're going to be talking about design and visual branding. It's a really large concept, so we're going to be defining how to get into this field in basic and what are the paths that you can find within this design and visual branding field. So we talked about video editing before, we talked about cinematic video editing, which is the advanced level of it. And then we talked about portfolio creation, and now design and visual branding. So if we go along those 4 trainings, we can have all the assets that we create and transform them in a good design into a really good portfolio and reach out with this. What's the importance of design? What's the importance of visual branding for everyone? Because I see it important for every single person, no matter what they work. Let's say you own, for example, a good story, maybe a shop or a coffee shop. And if you're really far and people don't see you, you're not going to make it to engage people. So that's why we can define it as this. So design is one of the most important factors when building a brand. And also, I want to note to this, not only when we say a brand, it doesn't necessarily mean something related to business brand. The brand could be us. The brand could be a person or just an entity or group of people. They could be a brand, and their product could be a story. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a digital product or a physical product. It can be a story that you can spread it. There's a lot of those good stories or good businesses that they just don't see light because they don't have the good establishment of design and visual branding. The design is what will set you apart from your competition and help you garner the desired emotions or feelings from the customers or the people who listens to your story per se. Going into design, let's get to know the concept of design. So design isn't about making things look appealing or just about usability. It's about taking anything from being in the form of existence to delightful, and then beyond that to meaningful. And because of this huge generality, we have so many design types. So one of them is architecture design. We've definitely heard about it. We can all live in the same house. Design allowed us to be different, unique in our own ways, in the spaces that we live in the styles that we desire, in our daily lifestyle. One else related to building is interior design. It's another whole space where you just focus on designing the interiors of those spaces. One of the design use cases is also user interface design. Now we call this UI design. There's UI and UX. If you're opening your phone into any application, let's say Instagram, I don't know, Google, the weather, everything you open on your phone, it has been layered in a certain way. So when you go into it, you can navigate quickly using this application and get to know its entire features with a good interface design. If you have an application that has a really bad design, it won't be usable. If you just throw everything as a content in this app, but you don't design it in a way that it's easy to read, easy to navigate, it wouldn't be useful. No matter how good the app you have, without a good design, it's just going to be useless. Also, one of the design aspects that's similar to user interface is called user experience. If user interface focuses on the layering and positioning, a user experience is built on the user's feedback. Graphic design, it's a field in design. Whatever kind of idea that you have, just illustrate it in a way, working with lines, shapes, forms, textures, depths, all of this, to make your idea visual. If your idea isn't visual, you can't communicate anyone easily with that idea because, one photo can express tons of things. It could be in a blog, in a written article. It could be in a design itself. We're going to go to graphic design in depth, a little bit more than the others, but it's worth saying that before we go to it, that there is so much like game design, lighting design, sound design, just so many options. So for example, game designers, there is even 2 places in those game design field where one of them designed the graphics of the game and one of them designed the process of the game and how it's going to go. So that's two different design niches in one design niche. Lighting design is used, as we've seen, in video editing and cinematic video editing. Those who go and create a light setup in a scene for a photo, for a video, for a film, whatever it is, they are designers. Sound design is an entire thing that also consists of two pieces, where the first physical one is that you go and you hold the boom mic and you capture the audio. And then on the other hand, you take it and you design it in the software, and that becomes the digital sound design. On a personal level, each one of us can facilitate graphic design to serve him in different projects. Graphic design is described as a craft where professionals create visual content to communicate messages. So you need a visual content to communicate the message. Additionally, it is the profession and academic discipline whose activity consists in projecting visual communications intended to transmit specific messages to social groups with specific objectives. What are the tools? What are the apps that we can utilize this design aspect? We're probably familiar with some of them, or maybe all of them. As we can see, those ones on the sides called Illustrator and Photoshop, those belong to one company called Adobe. It's a creative suite that work with all kinds of creative stuff like video editing, animation, motion graphics, design, etc. Canva and Pixlr, those are not tools that you can download as a software, but they are tools that exist online. I believe Canva has their own application now, but they still have the entire utility based on a website. And you can interact in that website super easily without needing to download anything, and free. I want to go ahead and open Pixlr to just see how much we're getting advancement in this field and how to maybe create a quick design. We can see it really fancy. Are you an advanced photo editor, or you're a quick and easy graphic design? Let's say quick and easy graphic design. It directly recognizes what you're looking for. So let's say an Instagram post, story, YouTube thumb, YouTube art, Facebook post, etc. So let's say we're going with the Instagram post. So you can see they have templates, a lot of templates that have a lot of various designs, photos, text, everything you're looking for. Let's go into maybe this. There are free ones, but I guess there's also some premium ones. It says here you can have a layout and template. You can add text element, which is like the borders or shapes or stickers. You can add an image. You can crop and rotate. Cut out and use those shapes, adjust and filter, just like we have in our phones and some editing apps, like the color, the light, details, etc. We can have certain fast, quick effects, liquify. You can see those, retouch, for example, some good amount of effects that's really helpful. I use some of those in paid applications, and it's interesting to see them even in free ones. You can go to background, which is here. You can flip it either ways, as you can see. Also here, you can see the photo holder. You can interact to its option. And you can set an image, just a random image. You can change it instantly. You can come to the text and just double click, and easy as that. You just make it the way you like. You can play out with the effects, and just by saving it, you have a good design. It's already made for you. So nowadays you don't need to be skilled with this. Same goes with Canva. Those are the free options. And as we can see, Photoshop, and currently I'm using Illustrator, this app right here. You can see it basically has kind of the same stuff over there. You can have the tools on the left side and the properties on the right side. You can design the way you want. You can put any element, interact with it the way you want. It takes some practice in those apps because you have really in-depth options to choose how do you want to design, unlike the more stable specified ones online. Let's say we got some certain designs, we got our message designed, and we want to get this message out, or how to make this design useful. So there is the mission and the vision concept. You must have, for each story, for each business, for each thing you're going with, some sort of mission and vision. Why? Because think about a little shop you open. So you might have a mission. A mission statement defines the company's business, or again, somebody's story. It couldn't be only a business, it could be a story of someone and its objectives and its approach to reach those objectives. A vision statement describes the desired future position of the company or of some sort of story. And elements of mission and vision statements are often combined to provide a statement of company's purpose and goals and values. If we see this here, give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. To build communities and bring people together, our lives are all connected. Have you heard the sentence? Does it seem familiar to you, such a statement? Making our lives all connected? Basically, when I see this, all that comes to mind is Facebook. So their mission is very clear, and by a chunk of text or a little bit, one sentence, you can relate to that business by just seeing their mission and how they branded their business around that mission and what they're trying to do and create. Now, the vision is to discover what's going on in the world, allow people to stay connected with friends and family, to share and express what matters to them. Let's go to the fundamentals of visual branding, or I can call it also self-branding, because you can be your own brand, as I mentioned earlier. Brand identifier, we know also as logo. The word logo in Greek, it used to be logos, and it refers to the meaning in English, let's say word. So logos means word, or logo means word. A lot of people mix it with brand. You can't say the brand of, let's say, Adidas is the logo of Adidas, because that's only a logo and it will stay as a remark or a trademark. So you see a swoosh and you know the billboard is from Nike. Whenever we see that tick, you know, whenever, anyhow, any color, it's just Nike or Nike. You see a red Target on a commercial and you know the ad is not for an archery camp, but it's for the Target store. The retail chain, that's the power of a logo or a typographic brand mark. I have a set of styles, so we can see logo styles. We can see the emblem logos. The ones that seems like they're a sticker, you know, like you can stick them on somewhere. So Harley Davidson, Stella Artois, I don't know this one specifically. Superman, we all know that one. The pictorial mark logos. So one of the examples is Starbucks. It used to be an emblem design. Then they started to shift it. And it becomes like this in 87, it becomes like this in 92, and it becomes like this since 2011 until our recent day. And there's logotypes where we use fonts. There is lettermark logos. This is going to be about the abstract logos. So Airbnb, Nike, Pepsi. We can see with Airbnb, it just stands for helping people to stay in places for another people. So it replaces the hotel model. So it started from people and had the purpose of places, and they wanted to spread the message of love and the Airbnb initial letter, and they came up with this. And from this, we know the logo today. So mascot logos, we can see the KFC one, Reddit, combination logo marks, and so on and so forth. What the color palette is in design. So we can say that why do opposing teams wear different colors? There must be contrast so you can recognize one from another. Technology, you know, whenever we see the tech stuff, what is the main color we see most of the time when we go to tech?
White or blue? I don't know.
You got it.
I was gonna guess green because of the matrix.
Both blue and green. You see, tech, it's an entire industry. Whenever you see those colors, they imitate the industry of tech. So here's a huge element that's being used lately. It generates a color palette that you can choose from by pressing the space bar. You can see it creates, they all have a good combination. You can see, for example, we say, oh, this color speaks to my brand. This color kind of imitates my story in a way. You can lock this one and go with others, with other variations that suits it. Major element from the fundamentals is typefaces. You know, there's a lot of variations goes to that. There is so many fonts out there. You should go and see how some people sort their stories or work with their business, with their story, with their website, with their page, whatever they're using. So for example, this font over here, for me, whatever I see it, logos, everything we see in here, this is virtual stories. This is Berlin virtual stories. It's just stick to your mind that, and going with something unique for your brand, for your story, it makes it memorable. So even if it's probably 5-10 years from now, if I see this text again, I would know this is virtual stories. It might be something linked to virtual stories, for example. There is concept of contrast in typefaces. We've mentioned it earlier, but we haven't got through it in depth. Going with one font is okay, and fonts are constructed of families. So let's say Times New Roman. It's a family, it's not a font, it's a typeface. So within that family, you can see different weights, which is bold, light, regular, italic, and all that options. So those are the weights of a font. You can contrast your titles and subtitles by one family. Let's say the Montserrat, for example, but the contrast would be the same font, but in a different weight. So if you use here light, you could have used bold down there. So that would create the differentiation between your titles, your subtitles, or your primary and secondary messages, for example. Even a mission and a vision, you can separate them by this. Now, this is really effective. It's really fine details when you look at it, but those fine details, when you're consistent with them, in addition to the colors and logo and what we're going to go through in a bit, you basically have a brand. This is what a brand is. So here you can see different font families, 2 different fonts, 1 and 2. There's contrast between the shape. Here we can see contrast again between the serif or sans serif. That's also a way to create contrast. So for example, here it's a sans serif font. It doesn't have any of those glyphs in the tips of the letters. It doesn't have any of those shapes. Also size is a way that you use larger sizes and smaller sizes within the same family font or within different 2 family fonts. More than 2 is just crazy. When you go more than 2 fonts, it's just overwhelming. Imagery. Let's talk about imagery. So we all know the power of image. A picture can speak more than 1,000 words when chosen carefully and aligned with the other elements of the brand's strategy, look, and feel. Clean and spare, the new photographs should be too. Cozy and homey, same with your photographs and illustrations. So this person is saying, I'm a great lover. So basically his marketing. This is just an example, regardless of what you're saying, but the concept of it. But if you're doing like, hello, I'm a great lover, this is telemarketing, the older way of marketing using telephones. Trust me, he's a great lover. From another person to another person, it becomes public relations. You're not involved anymore. But when you're saying, I'm a great lover, continuously, you're just advertising. This is why we keep seeing those advertisements in our faces 10 times, 100 times a day. This is how advertisement goes. So you get convinced. A graphic designer wouldn't say anything. He would just throw a shape at you. And that shape would speak the entire message that he's a great lover. But here's the brand power. When the person in the opposite way comes to you and says that, I understand you're a great lover, this is branding. You don't need to do anything. People already recognize you. Now, if you want to say burgers, you directly think of Burger King and McDonald's. This is branding because they don't need to explain it to you anymore. They don't need to go and yell out in the streets, we sell good burgers, we sell great burgers. We're already there. We already know. We say about them without them reaching out to us anymore. A brand has a guideline, or let's say it's a rule book. It's NASA. We all know NASA probably. This is made a long time ago, almost 70, 80 years ago. There is the logotype and the use of color. You can see that they have special uses and different uses for when it comes to different events and places. Basically, we can say that this is their color set, red, black, or white. Whenever you have any color, Black and white are the negative colors, we call them. So, and gray, they can be into any brand because they just create a huge contrast between whatever color you're using. So you can, this is a rule. If your logo doesn't look good in black and white, it's not good. No matter what gradient you're gonna use, no matter what shadow or lighting or any technique you're gonna use in the design, if it doesn't stand out in black and white, it won't be. So you can see they have a standards here, the red, the gray, with the texture that we have talked about. It's old, but here's the thing, they don't want it to look new. They want it to keep looking old. This is their standard. We've been there for a long time. Let us look like that we've been there for a long time. They don't want to be really innovative with changing that feel to it. So you can see so many applications that goes under one rule book. Here is, as we mentioned earlier, the color palette. And here, even if they want to go into structuring their text in a letter, in a newspaper, in a book, there is a structure of the columns, whether it's 2 columns, 3 columns. If there's a photo where it should be structured within the text, they think of every detail. And if you're trying to be a brand, you should as well think about all those details, because if you think about them beforehand, you set them up, you say like, here's my colors, here's my text, stay consistent to them. Whenever you get a little bit recognized, a little bit forward, you're going to be looking as a brand instead of just another person who has some sort of business or story. Your National Geographic, this is my favorite. Now, this is both a brand that stands on stories. Their brand and their mission and vision is just to explore the world, to spread the word of certain stories they have and certain projects they're doing. It's pretty modern and unique. Directly, first thing we see is their mission. They have this mission, a little bit details about it. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. This is what they want to go with the vision. This is our goal, so it's the vision. You can see the fonts, the colors, the placement of everything is going to be described in details right now. Here's the photography or imagery, the construction of it, and text replacement, the index or synchronization. Whenever they do spaced fonts, they have rules for it. How much spacing it has, what kind of font it is, how much to layer the longitude and altitude for each sentence or each location they're going through when they put it in the, let's say, the newsletter or the YouTube video or whatever film they're creating. And even the transitions they're going, they have a specific way of transitioning between one another. You can see, look at all the stories. They're just so consistent with it. No matter how colors are different in the background, or no matter how much the shot is different, the feel of it is stable. You just can see this one line and you can say, oh, this is National Geographic. So this is the index usage logo. It's as simple as it could be. It's just a yellow square, but this yellow square, it stands, of course, with a story. This is their tagline. Even the placement of it with the text have a specific margin and space that would stay and remain the same. Height, so it equals the third of the logo, and any use case, what it stands for. You can see they always, each brand also tried to say like, hey, we don't want to use our logo or we don't want to use our colors in this way. So they show the ways they don't want to use it at. So like this, you see, they'd accept this, they would accept this, they wouldn't accept any of those. The photo isn't just popping out. You see gray with black, it just blends in a little bit. There is no more contrast anymore. Gray with white, also same. Black and white contrast, they're okay with it. Same here, black and white. They've changed the entire yellow thing, but they still stand out. This is the power of brand. The colors, this is their main colors. Whenever you look at anything, black and yellow, black and yellow. Of course, the opposite of black is white, so they would be able to use white as a contrast color, which is mostly the background, we can say. The typeface, this is their typefaces. Main font is Verilog. You can see the other weights are Verilog Book and Verilog Bold. And the secondary font, this is when you go to another family or font family, is Neuhaus Grotesque. And they have the weights of light and Roman typesetting. This is how they construct it. You see, they wouldn't accept any of that. They have this rule here between the spacing, the positioning between a graphic and a type. So this typeface would be always on the left. This typeface would be always on the right. It's secondary. Type over light backgrounds, let's say. Now, here's how they do it. This is the style. There's cases that shows here as we have been through color grading. We know what it is. So here's an example. They have a pre-color correction, a photo with white, but you see how much the white blends in with the background. Well, while here they've color corrected the photo so the white stands out a little bit more. But in extreme conditions, it didn't work. They say here, in special cases where color correction doesn't solve the issue, typography isn't black may be used. So they use the black to create the contrast. So this is why it's important to have a set of options, because you never know when you're going to need the alternative, the secondary, whether it's the typeface or whether it's the color. So you can see there's a lot of complexity. This is an entire guideline to how they want their brand to be created, logo structure on photos or on air navigations, short logos and printing. You know, having such a brand, having such colors, having such typography. If I see this cover for a story, no matter where it is, I want to read it. Life below 0 degree. You know, it just creates authenticity, creates strength to deal with those colors, the fonts, the texture of the font, all these elements. This is why it matters to have design. So this is also a great use case of design. Every single detail, you count it. Pages and pages of transitions. It's even described in a photo how to transition according to the guidelines. Now, I'm not saying anybody who want to do a good name should go into all this, of course not, but knowing that there is a rule book and taking the fundamentals and trying as much as possible to implement them is a key. Moving forward, an Arabic example from different culture. I wanted also to see in different cultures how they go with their branding, but English, Arabic, I want to see a company called Lufthansa, it's the German airlines, but I just couldn't catch their guidelines. They just don't have it out there, unfortunately. Year of Arabic Calligraphy 2021, Branding Master Guidelines. This is the Ministry of Culture. Probably, yeah, in Saudi Arabia. You can see directly the mission, the logo. Here's the logo. Here's the spacings between it, places to logo positioning and logo misuse, as it again would show how not to use it. With the color blend, dismember or remove any element part of the group or logo, just not distorted by the size. Shadows, you see, it wouldn't look appealing in any single way of those ways. This is, people would do it in a design, but it just wouldn't look good for the brand or the design. Here's the options, the color options. This is their color scheme. Now we've seen 1 color, 2 color, 3 color. This is even a 6 color scheme. And each color, of course, consists of a color code. Here it is. So if you come to the color palette, this is the codes of each one, and this is the degree, some measure with the degree of temperature. The pattern they use, here's how they use it, and examples of how to be used, and then examples of how the misusage. This is also examples how to be used. Here's the use pattern misuse, you can see it just doesn't look appealing. So looking at so many options and looking at so many brands, it's just make your eye more familiar with visual guidelines without even going deep into studying them. That's also a way of understanding. It just stands out when it's appealing or not. The template, etc. You can see even the printables, they have their color guide for it. And here's the application outside in the streets when you see it. Examples. Even if it's like this, and after knowing that this brand is what it is, you can see this pattern and you would know that, oh, okay, this is Arabic calligraphy 2021, for example. So yeah, even airplanes, thank you. So if I have a story and I want to spread it, here's what I would do basically. First of all, I would create content. I would create on a paper, in a pen and paper. I don't need to design anything. Understanding my mission, understanding my vision, what do I have, who I'm gonna send this to, what is it gonna be effective with, what problems it's gonna solve, or what problems it's gonna be regarding or talking to. So after setting those main elements of understanding my story and myself, I would start link this to the basic elements of graphic and visual branding. So I don't need to start with logo as it's the #1 fundamental, but I can just go with certain colors that speak to the nature of my work or speaks the psychology of my work. I can set the typeface. It might be simple to choose a font, but it's really hard sometimes to figure what font speaks to the tone of your story. And then set the imagery. I must have some sort of imagery, whether it's a photograph or whether it's a simple graphic elements, like simple designs that goes into my text. So after I've set all this out, I then go to the little bit design process of putting those elements together. I put my story, I create some contrast between the main elements and the sub-elements or subtitles. I create some interesting or implementing graphics that would allow people to read or to watch. Depends what I'm trying to go with, if it's a photo or a text. And then after I do this, I start to push out, and this comes in the past training when we talked about portfolio. I group all my work, I choose certain channels that I will be present on, and consistency is a key. You hear a lot, but it's a fact. Without being consistent, there isn't much results because you're not going to have enough time to get exposure to what you're trying to do. You might not be needing to exposure. You might be just documenting. That is also a thing. People don't need people to look at their work. Some people just document it in a digital form. So whatever happens, you don't lose it. Whether it's electricity, a damaged electronic piece, or anything, you have it somewhere out there, stands safe. So you push it out, you choose your channels, as we mentioned in the last training, and then in order to move to a more effective form of communication, which suits this era the most, and this younger generation, let's say, you go to the video aspect. So you have your text, you have your story, you have your content, you've evolved it to certain photos, you've designed and layered them, you've created them in one place, and then you would speak to both environments. The one that who have no patience to see or read really long stories, and you have a backup on your, let's say, a website or a social media where you have the text or the forum or the blog, where you have the interesting parts and the full details for those who want to go in depth with your story, who want to go in depth with your project and interact with it personally. They need the full picture. And there's the ones who need the interesting picture, let's say, or the funny picture. And how to get your video more appealing is what we talked about in the cinematic video making. So taking consideration both shooting, which is production, let's say, and post-production, which is the editing, some little attention to lights, to audio, and fast forward when we go to the post, good cuts and clear edits, and some clear typography that supplements the visuals that we have. You would be by then completed, and you have all the elements that allow you to move from being just a basic story to a branded story, to a story that's well crafted on all aspects, whether it's type, video, photo, you name it. So that's the purpose of those 4 trainings, to get those four trainings with all their elements for someone who has no much experience into this field, or how to get their name or their product, maybe their business outside. Using those elements, they can put the base stone, let's say, into launching their story out there and get interaction with people. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope that it was beneficial and it's eye-opening.